Yeah, they totally ignore the amount of lies that have been told by Anne and Robert in this case, but they pick on one inconsistency that they're not interested in any other explanation other than, oh, the witch, blah, 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 you know.
Stop.
But I mean, the one good side of all these videos and interviews having been put out on the internet is it's that information that enabled us to actually find all the lies that were being told and find the inconsistencies and different versions of the stories. And it's only when you start putting the stories and interviews and videos of all the interviews that Anne and Robert did that you start to see this pattern emerging. And the pattern is that the story was not consistent.
Okay. All right. Well, before we go on to the inconsistencies, because that's a biggie, okay, we'll tackle that. I first want to approach the issue of the people behind this. You have, Sarah, particularly some information, say, for example, about Belinda McKenzie and her involvement with certain things. I think let's speak about the various people who are involved in fueling this campaign.
Okay, so who do you want to hear about first?
Start with Belinda. We'll start there.
Okay, well, could I ask Rachel to perhaps talk about Belinda specifically and Iran Aid?
Yes, yeah, I'll and hopefully Lil will help as well.
Yeah.
Well, she, although we haven't actually seen it in writing, she hasn't denied the fact that she was a trustee for a charity called Iran Aid, which I think was the inception was about 1986. I'm not sure on that one particularly, but and she was raising money for this charity for the people of Iran, orphans in Iran, and that went over a long period of time, quite a few years, and then it was investigated because people started complaining about the aggressive ways in which the money was being collected and various sort of aspects. So it was investigated by the Charities Commission, who went in. They tried to retrieve documents, very important documents, which were destroyed.
Which is illegal.
Which is illegal. Belinda claims that she didn't know anything about that. But
then again, there's proof she says that she was part of the involvement of destroying the documents, and her reason was so that the people in Iran would not be discovered.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that the Charities Commission actually didn't find anybody in Iran, be it a person who was ever helped by this charity or any other charity involved in Iran. Nobody had heard of Iran Aid before. Nobody had heard of anybody they had ever helped. And their investigations into what happened to the money, and this is an extremely large amount of money. We're talking about £75 million over a period of, I think, 15 years, vanished into a bank account in Germany, and they could not find where it went after that. It didn't go to Iran. They know that for certain.
Yes.
But nobody's ever been prosecuted for this. Now, we could go off on a slight tangent now to, if you wanted to talk about Belinda McKenzie. What people may not know about Belinda McKenzie is that when she was at university, her tutor actually wrote a book about spies. He was very interested in spies. He also co-wrote a book with John Le Carre, who was a spy. Now, Belinda, seems to have been involved in a lot of truth movement organisations, and in fact they call her place the Highgate Hub. Now, think about this. If you are working for the government, be it directly or indirectly, and they want to keep an eye on the truth movement, wouldn't it be better to have them all going in and out of one place? And she's the main person who's involved in all these organisations. We also know she's branched out not just to the truth movement, because she used to collect the money for the Star Child school, if anybody knows about that, with an organisation she has called Cognizance.
I would just like to say that I met Belinda Mackenzie for the first time at the Nefarious Conference in Brussels in 2009. That we were gassed afterwards in our sleep, and our equipment was taken. And Belinda was there raising money for the research, $500,000 that would be needed for the Star Child skull to be DNA tested. And that's how we met her for the first time.
She no longer has involvement with it, but the organisation is still going. So whether she's still collecting the money, who knows?
Which also brings us to Hollie demands justice and the donate method.
So hang on a sec before we get into the charity. There's also, if you think that's an outrageous and outlandish accusation to make that she might actually be working for the government, she also used to be the landlady for two quite interesting people who used to be MI5, if you can ever used to be MI5, because one of these people in particular did quite a lot to damage the truth movement from a lot of people's point of views.
Would this be David Shaler?
This would be David Shaler and Annie
Machon, yes.
Machon. Yeah, she's their landlady.
So do they still live with her?
No, I don't think they do now.
Okay. And what is their association with her before that? Just living with her? Living in a house?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I would also
we
just...
do know that she has attended conferences with them before and gone to speak with them in various places.
Okay.
So, you know, if you are a MI5 asset that was set out to discredit the truth movement, then what better place to reside than another MI5 asset, possibly, or government asset of whatever. This is just suggestions on our part.
Yeah.
It's things that we have looked into, and they make you go,
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, but Belinda doesn't hold back in accusing other people of being shills and working for the government and being part of the gang, whoever the gang is. But I mean, she's quite liberal, but accusing other people.
She did say she put £1.4 million into Iran aid herself.
Well, show us your accounts.
Yeah, well, that's right. And also, if you had done that, I'm sure that you'd be making a lot more noise.
Yeah, you'd be the first one in the queue jumping up and down, saying, "Hey, where's my money? It never went to Iran." But strangely, she's been very silent about that matter.
So where has Belinda come across all this money and her abode rather spaciously in Highgate, which is one of the most expensive suburbs in North London, for those who don't know?
Well, she charges people to go to the hub, which is down the bottom of the garden, I've been told.
Yeah, she has a quite little organisation of all sorts of events and meetings and things that get charged for. So
interesting. So she runs.
The original amount of money, I think she recently stated, came from her father's estate. Was it?
Yeah.
The money left from her father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which then brings you to Hollie Demands Justice, which, a donate a button appeared very soon after she became involved.
Yeah, we also have the involvement of the MKO, which were in most countries still are labelled a terrorist organisation, and also she's married to an Iranian who actually lives in France, which is where the MKO are now based.
But he visited Germany where
there was also
disappeared.
He also had a son, this wonderful person who is her husband, who was in Camp Ashraf, and we know that he was begging his father to get him out of there because he was being abused, and his father refused.
Oh, okay.
Yes.